Oak trees throughout northern Missouri die from oak wilt every year. Trees from both the white and red oak groups are susceptible. The disease is caused by a fungus that effectively blocks the transport of water and nutrients throughout the tree. While not as prevalent in southern Missouri, it does occur. It's just that with so much attention being given to the suite of factors leading to oak decline in the south, trees dying from oak wilt are simply misdiagnosed. A telltale symptom of oak wilt in your woods is that you suddenly notice a dying oak one summer. All of its leaves are wilted and the tree looks off color. At first glance you consider a lightning strike, but there are no visible scars. Then the following growing season, adjacent oaks begin to decline and the pattern radiates out in a circular fashion from that first dead tree. The disease cycle goes something like this. Mats of fungus known as pressure pads develop under the bark of trees that have died from oak wilt. The mats form most often in the spring, about 9 to 10 months after that first tree dies. The pressure is so great that they force the bark to crack open. The fungus produces a sweet odor that attracts sap-feeding insects. The beetles pick up fungal spores as they feed on the fungal mats. Then they fly to healthy oaks to feed on sap flowing from fresh wounds, thus infecting new trees. The fungus can also spread to adjacent trees via root grafts. Root grafts occur when roots from neighboring trees fuse together. You can take 2 precautions to lessen the chances of oak wilt invading your woodlands. First, do not harvest, prune, or otherwise wound oak trees from bud swell-up to 2 or 3 weeks past full leaf development. During this time, the fungal mats are most abundant and the oak trees most vulnerable to oak wilt. Infection is less common later in the summer, but it can occur. To be safe, if at all possible, do not harvest or prune from the 1st of April to the 1st of October, particularly if your forester knows oak wilt is present in your area. The second precaution is not to move infected trees with bark still attached, such as firewood or logs, into your woodlands. Pressure pads may form on the transported wood and attract the insects that spread the fungus. If your woodlands are or do become infected and you choose to do nothing, the disease will move outward through root grafts, killing more trees each year. If you choose to contain the disease, you must use a 2-pronged approach since it spreads both above and below ground. Your local forester will develop the specific prescription for your situation, but it will basically involve using a trencher to break the root connections between infected and healthy trees, and removing all dead trees with the bark attached and all apparently healthy trees from inside the barrier. Let's look at a typical outbreak in John Lee's forest near Gallatin and learn that while in one respect it is a problem, yet in another respect it's an opportunity. So this opening created here isn't necessarily a bad thing, is it?
No, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Actually, oak wilt is a native pathogen. It's native to Missouri. So what's happened here basically is that it's created an opening in the forest, similar to what we might do in a timber harvest with a group opening. And what the result of it has been is basically a succession of new growth, the early stages of succession, and there's a new flush of growth under here that provides a lot of green forage for wildlife, and also some early successional nesting habitat for songbirds. So no, it's not really necessarily a bad thing. There is some loss of timber value, but taken as a whole in the big picture, as long as we can control the outbreaks, any major outbreaks of oak wilt, this is something that is is acceptable.
Controlling these and other pests is often difficult. Pesticides can be used to protect high-value ornamental trees or eradicate a pest outbreak, but the expense is usually not justified in forest stands. It is also not a biologically effective practice because, as in cases described above, the pests you are trying to kill are under the bark, protected from the chemical you apply. As the old saying goes, the best defense is a good offense. By managing your woodlands, you increase the growth and vigor of individual trees, and vigorously growing trees are more likely to remain healthy throughout the life of the stand.